17. One dream. One fan.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami. One, two, three, go.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Sunday morning, very early, March 22nd. I'm your host, Michael Leva, joined by our friend Justin Melo from NFL Draft NSI, as we're going to break down the tight end and offensive line positions. Justin, how you doing this morning?
Doing well. Appreciate you for having me on once again, Mike. Really good classes here, I think. This offensive line and tight end class. I think, certainly the Dolphins are going to have a lot of interest in the first, right? In the O-line group. I'm certain of that. And some tight ends, maybe they'll grab a gem later on. So we've got a lot of good prospects to talk about today.
Yeah, and now with Miami having a second first-round pick since we last spoke and a fourth pick in round 3 since we last spoke, they have more options to fill more of their many, many needs. But before we get to that, real quick, shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. Also, they got stuff for the Miami Hurricanes, the Florida Panthers, the Heat, the Marlins, and all the teams in South Florida. Caneswear.com, the best prices. Go there before you go to any other website to buy any Miami Dolphins merchandise. And if you're in South Florida, stop by their shop at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. Shout out to everyone watching us live right now with the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page. And if you're up early with us on a Sunday morning on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. And also, super chats are open. If you got a question about a player who is a tight end or an offensive lineman, leave a super chat. We will read it before the end of the show. Tight end. Let's start with the big name there, Kenyon Sadiq, Oregon. Very good player. 2 questions. How high do you think he could go in round 1? And compare him to Tyler Warren last year, who I think went 13 or 14. I think one pick after Miami. So I think it was 14 last year. How does he compare to Tyler Warren last year? And what do you think his ceiling is in round 1?
I think he's the same caliber of prospect that Tyler Warren was. I love the player. I think he's arguably, I don't even know if it's arguably, a top 15 overall prospect in this class. Now, where I would say he differs from Tyler Warren, I think Warren's probably a bit better of a pass catcher, like impact in the passing game. But Sadiq's ability to do everything, like he's a 3-down tight end in terms of in line. He's a really competitive blocker as well. Like, I think he's a total freak, the total package at tight end. I mean, the combine numbers, when I say freak, they were out of this world. It was like 4.39, I think it was, and then 43 vert or something. And then he got overshadowed by Eli Stowers a couple seconds later, which was unfortunate for him. But, we know it's a non-premium position, tight end. It's typically how teams draft it. But, Colston Loveland went early last year. Tyler Warren went early last year, and both of them had really big instant impacts on their offenses. I mean, I don't know if you remember early on, it was all Tyler Warren. But as the year went on, Colston Loveland really turned it on, and that Bears team made the playoffs, and he was big for them down the stretch of that run, and he was big in the playoff win over the Packers. So I look at how early those two guys went. I don't see why it can't be similar for Sadiq. Again, like, what don't you like about him, right? Like, I mean, freak athlete, impact in the passing game. And then I think like Loveland, can play in line and is really competitive as a blocker. I somewhat struggle to find the fit for him in the top 10. Like, I thought Kansas City for a long time. Yeah. And I think they should still consider it, even though they're bringing Kelsey back. But they've got such big needs at corner and wide receiver. I don't know that they're going to want to go tight end that early. I think the Panthers are a really good fit, but they don't pick until 19th. I mean, that's where I sent him in my latest mock. I'd like to get him out there earlier because of how good of a prospect he is, but I've struggled with like the top 15 fit for him. But I mean, I'm infatuated with the prospect.
Yeah, I've seen some mocks have him with Miami at 11, obviously, and now with no more Waddle. It's not the worst idea in the world because essentially he's not a wide receiver to replace Waddle, but he's a weapon in the passing game to replace Waddle. He's a pass catcher and he's a weapon. And guys like Warren, him, and the one who went to the Raiders a couple years ago, Brock Bowers, you can't compare them to like your normal tight end. They're so unique. They're so unique that it's a pass catcher. It's a weapon. That's how I view it.
Listen,
so, yeah.
Put it this way. Sorry, not to cut you off, Mike, but you jogged a note in my mind that I did want to mention, because when you say that, I have a friend of mine who does some coverage and stuff for the Rams, and he knows them really well. They picked 2 picks later after Miami at
13, yeah.
And he said to me, he goes, they might take him and play him at X receiver. Like he's that good.
Yeah.
He's that much of a pass catching weapon. So that's Sean McVay. And he had it on good account, that they're at least kicking that possibility around. So if a team picking two picks after you is thinking about taking him, and by the way, has maybe one of the best offensive minded coach in the NFL, and they're thinking about playing him at X receiver, then Miami could consider it at 11 as well.
Yeah. I don't think Miami would because they have so many needs elsewhere. And I think there's more value with an offensive lineman or an edge rusher or maybe a corner. But if they did it, I'm not going to be floored. I'd be like, I kind of get it. I might not agree with it, but I kind of get it. So that's why I've seen him in, some mocks from very smart people who do this stuff year round like yourself with them here. So it's not like it's unthinkable.
Right. I think if Miami did it, like you said, I think you could calmly say to yourself, this is a multi-year rebuild. We're far, far away. And is he a top 11 player in this class?
Close.
Yeah, I can see it. Absolutely.
Yeah. You spoke about Eli Stowers, former quarterback, which makes it so intriguing for me, but an athletic freak, not a ton of experience at tight end, but someone who made plays at Vanderbilt and stuff like that. You see him going mid-round 2, late round 2, higher in round 2. Where do you see him?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, like maybe mid to late round 2.
I
think
thinking.
The combine, the athleticism probably puts him firmly in that territory. I mean, 45.5-inch vertical, I think it was, set an all-time combine record. Very productive at Vanderbilt. Came over with his quarterback, right? And they obviously appreciate the heck out of each other and has been his go-to weapon. Impact in the passing game, creates mismatches, safeties and linebackers, tough to cover, big, fast, long, you name it in terms of the pass catching skill set at tight end. He's got it. But obviously, you're not going to ask him to block. I think you'd be making a mistake if you did that.
Clearly.
As a former quarterback, that's not going to be his forte, and I don't think it ever will be. I think you've sort of got to accept that he's a pass guy. He's a big wide receiver. He's a big slot, right? You saw the way Miami used Darren Waller, this past year on occasion. I think it's probably similar for Stowers at the next level, but you got to accept that he is who he is. Still a bit raw in the technical, I think, department because of the position change. But in terms of pure athlete, ask him to run some of the simple routes, beat safeties, beat linebackers. He's really good at that. And you hope some of the other stuff kind of rounds itself out, after a year or two in the league. But you're drafting a big athlete and asking him to go catch the football.
The next guy is someone who's very intriguing, and I think Miami with 4 picks at round 3 now, there's someone who might be on the board for them. Max Clare, Ohio State. To me, when I've watched the Packers over the past however many years, he looks like one of those guys who could play for the Packers, which means he's probably going to be on the radar for Miami now. What are your thoughts about Max Clare?
Yeah, good player. I think you're probably right, the third best tight end in this class. I think he's got a bit of a well-rounded skill set, right? Certainly more so than the guy we just talked about does.
Yeah.
And playing that Ohio State offense, you kind of have to, right? Like they had those 2 big weapons at wide receiver. You're not going to get the ball all the time. And you're going to have to block a little bit, and you got to do it both in line because Ryan Day likes running the football, and you have to do it in space too, for guys like Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. So I think what they asked him to do led to him having a pretty solid, well-rounded skill set. But I also think he's a terrific athlete and pass catcher at the position. And I think there's probably some untapped potential in that department just because they fed the other 2 pass catchers so many targets, right? Like, I think the numbers for this kid could have been better if he wasn't playing with a generation, well, some considered a generational talent. I know he didn't have the best year this past year, and there's a lot, some questions there, but some generational talent at wide receiver, and then also, in Carnell Tate. So for me, I think there's a lot of untapped potential there for Max Clare. Curious to see where he ends up. I think you're right. Like a team like the Packers, because he does remind me a little of like a Tucker Kraft.
Tucker Kraft. That's exactly what I see when I saw him. Yeah.
Yeah. I more Tucker Kraft probably than Musgrave, but you kind of see where the Packers appreciation would come in. So like you said, with those guys running the show in Miami now, I think that would make a lot of sense. And all those third round picks, I think that's probably where he goes. I could definitely see it in Miami. And I think, again, you're looking for weapons at the pass catching spot. Untapped potential with him, could totally see it.
All right. I got 3 more names. I'll let you talk about them in whichever order you think they sort of rank on your board and stuff. Sam Roush, Stanford, Michael Trigg, Baylor, Justin Jolly, NC State. How do you like those 3? Are those guys round 4 guys? You think one sort of sneaks into round 3 or round 4 later guys?
I'm so glad you brought up those 3 specifically. Wasn't sure where you were going to go there, but I love Sam Roush.
Me too. I think he's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, I think he needs a lot more appreciation than he's getting. He was really good at the combine. He's big. He's got huge hands. He's long. He's really good inline blocker. And I'll tell you, when I watch him on tape and you saw him moving around the combine, I think he's going to be a way better pass catcher than the general public thinks, because the quarterback play at Stanford was so awful. It made it, kind of tough to judge him in that department. I'm buying in to what's left to explore there. I think there's a lot of meat on the bone for him as a pass. I don't think he's going to be probably not an elite pass catcher, but I think he might be a way better pass catcher than we think. And he's so good in line. Like I see tight end 1 upside for an NFL offense. I'm comfortable taking him in the back half of the 3rd round. Personally, I think he's that good. For the other guys, I'm thinking like mid 4. The other with Trigg, I think you kind of know what you're getting. I think he's going to be a very decent pass catcher. I don't know that there's anything there, in line or anything like that in the blocking department. But I think he's going to be a good pass, maybe a really good supporting number 2 tight end is kind of what I see for him. And then with Jolly, he reminds me of a little bit, and I'm sorry, I typically butcher the last name, is Chigakonkwo, who played for the Titans for a number of years.
Yes.
Because
I can see that.
They've got the similar compact frames, like these, like 6'2", not the biggest guy, but a good pass catcher. And like the Titans did with Chig, you could line him up anywhere. You could line him up in the backfield. He's like that that sort of movable tight end, I should say. And just signed a big contract in Washington. Just goes to outperformed the draft status 4th round pick. Chig was 3 years, $30 million in Washington. I think Justin Jolly, just like him, compact build, can break tackles, good after the catch, things of that nature. I'm a fan of Justin Jolly. I think he's one of the underrated tight ends in this class.
Yep. Any late round sleepers that you like? You think flying under the radar here at this spot?
Yeah, one guy you didn't mention that I like is Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. He was a guy who was at Ohio State for a number of years, couldn't get on the field, couldn't break out, and then he makes the transfer and becomes one of the focal points of that passing game. And I thought he was very good this past year. There was, in November, December, we were talking about him maybe being the 2nd tight end in this class. I think he kind of got jumped by, Max Clare and Eli Stowers. But I think he's in the mix with those 3 that we just mentioned. I think Joe Royer could be the 4th tight end off the board. One of my favorite sleepers at the position, and, it's going to take some time and you're going to have to be patient with him. And, obviously no guarantee he's going to get there. But on day 3, I'd roll the dice on John Michael Gillenborg out of Wyoming. Really athletic. I had a great interview with him a couple months ago. Really comfortable, like detached from the line of scrimmage. He's not going to play in line. He wants to be flexed out in space as a pass catcher. The numbers don't jump off the screen when you look. When I tell you that, you're going to go look up the numbers. they couldn't pass the football there either. Like
Yeah.
I think they really hurt him in terms of because he's super athletic. Put up some really nice numbers at the combine. Was at the Senior Bowl. NFL teams like this kid, and again, it's going to be early day 3, I think, on him, probably around 5. I'm thinking, but I think there's a lot to explore there in terms of the athleticism and the pass catching potential. As long as you don't ask him to do stuff he's not comfortable doing, there's no way this kid is coming in and blocking. He didn't really do it at Wyoming. He's not going to do it in the NFL, especially in year 1. But I really like him. I do really like him. The other guy I'll quickly mention is the Texas A&M. Nate Boerkircher, I think it's pronounced. It's quite the spell. Boerkircher. Nate Boerkircher, I think
it's like an eye chart.
Yeah,
you cover
exactly.
one eye, start reading letters. Yeah,
yeah, essentially. Really good blocker. Really, really good blocker. Maybe the best in this class, actually. Specialized skill set, but you know how it goes. Those guys will play for 10 years.
Absolutely. You can find a role for them as a third tight end on a team who plays a very good role, and it will just always make the roster every year. So yeah, that's the tight ends. Let's go to offensive tackle. And for Miami, they got 2 starting tackles right now. Patrick Paul, year 2, was very good last year. Yep. Austin Jackson at right tackle, not exactly a fan favorite because he's always injured in Miami. He's always injured, but they just redid his contract. He ain't going nowhere, at least this year. But it's probably his last year in Miami. So I think with tackle, Miami would love to take one as long as they got flexibility that can move inside 1 year, then play right guard or left guard like they did with Laramie Tunsil all those years back. And then after 1 year, move him out to either right tackle, probably here in Miami's case. So that's where Miami's a tackle. The big one that I've seen mocked to Miami, and I'm stunned that he could even possibly fall that far, is the University of Miami, Francis Mugawa, I believe is how you say it. I think he's one of the best players in this draft. He's strictly a right tackle. Now, if he could play left tackle, he probably wouldn't get past the Browns at 6. But the Browns need a left tackle. They don't want a right tackle. They already got one they just made a trade for. Do you think there's a snowball's chance, and you know what, this guy could fall to 11? Because if he does, I don't know how the Dolphins pass him up.
I'm not betting on it if I was a betting man.
Because you got the Chiefs. You got all these teams that could use him. Yeah.
I think stranger things have happened. Like, I don't think he's going top 4, right? I don't think the Giants do it at 5. I mean, they are potentially in the market for a right-sided player. Yeah. So I think they'd consider it, but I ultimately think they go with one of the best defenders or Jeremiah Love if he's there. Like I think or even the receiver potentially. Yep. I look at the Browns, like you said, I don't see it. I don't see it with the Commanders. I don't see it. It won't be the Saints either. They've drafted linemen in back-to-back years with their first-round pick. So there are, he starts getting past those
Chiefs, teams. Cincy, Miami. It's next, so it's
Yeah, and I think Cincy's going defensive player. Like I think Cincy would love to get Reuben Bain or Sonny Styles or any of the falling defenders. I think Cincy would be very happy to just kind of run to the podium and take it number 10. The Chiefs, they took Josh Simmons a couple years ago, last year that is. They drafted, they signed Jalen Moore in free agency last year. So they've made some investments at tackle. That's why I think there is a snowball's chance, and you know what, that he gets there. I mean, when the description that you gave, he's the best fit, right? Because he's the guy that could play right guard in first year. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's where you released James Daniels. So
Daniels, and here's the thing too. All Dolphins fans know this. Austin Jackson will be hurt by week 4 because he just is. And when he's hurt by week 4, I'm putting this kid at right tackle. You know what? When Austin Jackson's ready, you can go kick rocks at this point. I'm leaving this kid at right tackle at that point.
Well, that's why he's the best fit is, the flexibility. I think there's a good chance that he can play right tackle. So I agree with that. Easier to project at guard, probably. Probably the way I see it is he might be like a really, really good guard, like one of the better guards in the NFL. And he's probably at least an above league average right tackle. So a lot of people say, well, then why don't you just put him at guard and take advantage? Well, you got to take the position value, thing into account and say, I might take the above average good tackle over the elite guard. So, but I love the fit. Certainly. I think he could, and he's that guy who could start out at right guard and then kick out to right tackle if necessary. I think Dolphins would again, very good chance they'd sprint that card to the podium if he's there at 11.
I think so. Now, the next guy is a guy who sort of burst on the scene, and I mean the scene of the draft scene, not late, but somewhat late. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, who, unlike this guy, is a pure left tackle, only got 17 games of experience, which is not a lot. But now they're saying number 6 to Cleveland, maybe, because they need someone who can play left tackle, and he's probably the next one off the board as the top left tackle.
Yeah.
Does the lack of experience scare you with him, or is he so big and so good? You're like, he'll be fine.
It does scare me. I'll be
blunt. It scares the hell out of me.
It does scare the heck out of me. And I'll tell you what, I could see the path for him to being very good. I get it. You know, you see the movement skills, the athleticism, the small sample size is good, right? It's good. I don't think it's elite, but it's good. I think it's when you're projecting him to go that high, it's the word I just used. It's project. I think there's a lot of projection involved in it. I don't think the tape says number 6 overall pick. I think it says, wow, in a year or two, we might look back and say, we're really glad we took him at number 6 overall. I tend to fall in the category, and this is just the way I evaluate. Maybe I'm too safe. Let someone else do it. You know, I don't want to do it. Let someone else do it. And if they hit on it, good for them. But I'm not.
And if you're the Browns with 2 first-round picks, take a wide receiver at 6. When you get back to your second pick at 24, you can find an offensive left tackle there where even if there's risk, it's a 24, not number 6 type of deal.
Absolutely.
That's what I would do, but I don't know. It's the Browns, so.
Is he still there at 24? I mean, maybe if they don't take him at 6, he could be. And if it's not him, it's Caleb Lamu, the other Utah tackle. I would even consider
Max from Arizona State.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. I'd consider Max Hinachor there at 24 because, I see the risk with the Arizona State kid similar as the Georgia kid.
But it's a 24 at least, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the upside's very similar to the Georgia kid, to Freeling. And if I can get him at 24 and get the best receiver at 6, that's what I would do. But the Browns might disagree. They might go Freeling there at number 6.
Yeah, it's the Browns. The 2 Utah kids, Lamu and Fano. You think either one of them are going to be right tackle, left tackles in the NFL, or are they both kind of projected to be guards? What are your thoughts on them?
I'm kind of planting I think Lamu, I think he's definitely a tackle. Definitely. Okay. He scares me a little too, I'll be honest with you, because 2-year starter, so not a ton of experience. And I think the arrow's pointing up, but I don't think it's there yet. You know, I see him kind of similar to Fred. I mean, he's only got 6 or 7 more games experience, give or take.
Not much,
right? Like a handful. And I think he's raw. When I've been placing him in mock drafts, I'll be honest with you, I know he played a lot of left tackle at Utah. I've been projecting him to and this is just a personal thing. It probably won't actually happen. I've been projecting him to the Eagles because I said, let him sit a whole year is the way I see him. And then I know he'd be switching sides, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, it does.
Let him take over for Lane Johnson a year from now. I think he'd really benefit from a redshirt year. I don't think he's ready to play right away is what I see when I watch him on tape. Now, with the other Utah kid, who's the better one in Fanu, I'm kind of planting my flag that he can play right tackle. And I think, the arms measured at the combine were not bad. I think people were expecting him to measure in a little bit shorter. And then we've had this freakish thing, I'm sure you've seen.
I saw that, yeah.
Where all these guys are measuring in longer at the pro day. And scouts are claiming it's not just your typical pro day home cooking. They think there was something legitimately wrong with the
combine,
at the combine, which I don't know how you get that wrong in that setting. It's you're pregnant or you're not, right?
Exactly.
Length is the length. It's, you're on the toilet or you're not. It's another one. I didn't get it. But anyway, I do think that kid is long enough to play right tackle, man. That's my personal opinion. I know some teams will project him at guard. But if I'm the Dolphins, I guess it's similar to the Miami kid we talked about earlier. Yeah. But the difference to me is I've got even more faith in this kid's ability to play tackle. I see a tackle through and through. I see a right tackle through and through. Whereas with the Miami kid, I get it if someone takes him and plays him at guard. With this Utah, I mean, like at the combine, the shuttle and everything, I think it was both. I think the shuttle and the 3-cone were out of this world for him, and he's longer than we expected to. When he was doing position drills, the way he was mirroring, like the match and mirror ability for the footwork, I don't know why you wouldn't want to take advantage of that at tackle. He's a tackle all day long, and I think like with the Austin Jackson thing. If I was a Dolphins fan, I'd have no problem if Miami took him at number 11. I think he's very good. I think he's a dark horse to go a lot earlier than people think. Like, if you told me Cleveland ends up taking him at 6, I mean, why not? I think he's probably the best. If they agree with me that he can play offensive tackle, he's the best one in the class.
Well, it's kind of funny because the whole draft process, if you were to go back 6-8 months ago, there was talk, is it him? Is it the kid from Miami? He's a top offensive tackle.
Right.
Now, fast forward, we're 1 month out. This kid's stock has fallen. Why? I don't know. But he's like late round 1, maybe even top of round 2. It's like, what happened? Like, they haven't played a game since,
Right.
And then first week of January, but whatever his last game for Utah was, I don't even know. But, it's like, what happened? Yeah.
I don't know if it's prospect fatigue or what, because I think groupthink kind of
that too.
I think groupthink took hold of he might be a guard. And I think that hurt. But when I saw the arms, I saw the testing. I mean, that's a guy that I want out in space. I don't want him confined in closed quarters. I thought the footwork, like when he was the position stuff, I'm like, this is a tackle. I don't think this is a guard. And I'm taking him very highly, like we all thought we were 6 months ago.
Yeah. One of my other favorite kids in this draft, and I think for Miami, if they go somewhere else at 11, say they go wide receiver or safety or corner, and they still want an offensive lineman. Now with pick 30, I don't think he'll be there at pick 43. Pick 30, a kid who I think is safe can be, right side too. Blake Miller, Clemson, seems to me a kid who I don't know if he'll ever be a superstar, but I'm pretty sure he won't be a bust. And you can just put him in your lineup and just not have worry. What are your thoughts on Blake Miller out of Clemson?
Listen, the kids that we just talked about having no experience?
He's got more than enough experience.
57 career games for Clemson, 4-year starter at right tackle. I mean, the guy is, as you said, it's as reliable and safe as it gets. And if Miami goes with a pass rusher or a skill player at number 11, then I'm with you. This guy's going to be, I know they might not need plug and play at right tackle, but he's plug and play at right tackle. I think at the very least, a league average starter at right tackle. And by the way, if you're, shaking your head right now, do you know what those guys get paid in the NFL?
A ton they get. Yeah.
This guy, I'll predict right now, come back to this in 4 years or 5 years, he's going to sign a 4-year, $90 million contract extension or whatever, because he's just going to be a really good, safe right tackle. I mean, I'll keep it short on him because I'm sure we got a lot of others we want to talk about. You take him at one of my favorite sayings, and I'm a soccer guy, and I heard this in soccer years ago, and I'm going to adopt that saying because it's such a good, different analogy, and I'll switch it up a little bit. If I draft that kid at number 30, I'm going to get an 8-hour sleep that night because I don't have a worry in the world. I'm going to go to bed and sleep like a baby. I don't got a single thing on my mind. That kid's going to come in and play right tackle for you for the next 4 or 5 years, the whole rookie contract, and you're never going to worry about it again.
Caden Proctor, Alabama. A lot of people see him as an NFL guard, but again, very talented player. I'm sure whoever will select him will give him a chance at offensive tackle, but he's probably more of a guard from at least everything I've read. What are your thoughts on Proctor?
Yeah, I'm torn because, I mean, it screams left tackle from a size perspective. I mean, what a mammoth of a human being, right? Remember, it reminds me a little bit, funny you say that, Mekhi Becton, who came out several years ago, went number 10, 11 overall.
Yep, Jets, yeah.
Same thing, like big mammoth of a man, failed that tackle, has had a weird career. Like initially salvaged himself at guard, won a Super Bowl as a starting guard, but then signed a big contract last year with the Chargers and failed at guard.
Well, he ate himself out of the league. Then he lost a bunch of weight, went to Philadelphia to play guard for 1 year, was fantastic. Then he cashed in again, and I don't know what happened since then. It's just not the same guy that he was for that.
Well, they cut him. They already cut him.
Yeah, I know,
like a 3-year deal, and they cut him, which is rare. You don't cut 3-year deals after 1 year. That's how bad that fit was in LA. But anyway, similar where I think I'm probably starting him out at tackle because just there's not a whole lot of 6'6", 365 human beings walking planet Earth that might be able to play tackle. So I think you start him out there. Let someone else take the risk. I'll go back to it. And I'll tell you this. It doesn't strike me as a Miami Dolphin. Not one bit. Not with this regime. Not with this regime. I don't think, not at all. I mean, think about it. They're inheriting the big kid from Arizona who didn't have the greatest rookie year. I
Jonas Havaianai, I know. I will at least say this about him. And you can't say this, and I've been around this league a lot. He worked hard and he tried hard. So it's not from lack of effort. It just didn't click. And some guys won't work hard and try hard. He worked hard and tried hard. Whatever it was last year, it didn't click. This year, new offensive line coach, new head coach. We'll see if maybe they can get more out of him. I don't have a lot of high hopes, but we'll see.
Listen, you had a bigger sample size on him than I do, obviously, in terms of watching the Dolphins tape. I'll tell you two things. I didn't love the fit in the Mike McDaniel system, and I'm a Mike McDaniel guy. I'm not saying I'm not, but that guy's huge. He's tough. He's a mauler. I mean, again, you'll know it better than me, but McDaniel running a lot of that wide zone.
And he played the right side in college. He moved him to left side for reasons nobody can still explain. I hope this new staff, honestly, puts him back at the right side, all depending on what they do, I guess, at the top of round one. But put him back at the right side. That's where he excelled in college. For some reason, they had this vision of Paul at left tackle, him at left guard for the next 8 to 10 years, and we don't have to work. But that's not where he's comfortable. So it was just really bad last year.
I didn't love the fit with the coaching staff. I think it could get better in year two regarding the fit perspective. And then one of my better friends in this industry is an agent who played offensive line in the NFL. And he tells me all the time, he goes, you have no idea what it's like being a college lineman. He goes, that first year, that rookie year, all we try to do is tread water. You are just trying not to drown. He goes, it's hard to explain how overwhelming it is as a rookie offensive lineman. Give the kid a chance. I'll tell all Dolphins fans right now.
I'm the same way.
Year two is a big one. If you don't see, I know every fan base, you're impatient when something doesn't work out, especially early. Give the kid a chance. If year two doesn't work out,
then you're done
with
him.
Put your hands up and say, I was right.
Then you're done with them, because it's two general managers, two head coaches, two line coaches. If they're all seeing the same thing and there's no results, then it's on him at that point.
Back to the Proctor kid. That's a big reason why I can't see them doing it. I think they've got enough young guys to work with there that come with that sort of risk. So Caden Proctor, start him at tackle. If he fails, you move him to guard. No way. I'd be stunned if he's a Miami Dolphin.
One kid who was an offensive tackle in college, but everyone says in the NFL, there's no chance he can play offensive tackle. And look, if he's there in round 3 for Miami, I think he'd be great. And just on a superficial level, great hair. Jennings, Dunker, Iowa. Elite mullet. But all joking aside, for Miami, you're not going to take him probably even in round 2 because he's going to be strictly a guard in the NFL from everything I've read and such. But, man, in round 3 with those picks, if he's there, you could pencil him in at one of those guard spots. And, again, probably not have to worry because I think he's a prototypical NFL guard.
I agree with you. I still see a lot of people out there saying that they think he could play right tackle. I don't agree. I do think he's a right guard strictly. But I think he's, again, a good starting right guard. And I like him at right guard because he played right tackle at Iowa. So I think it'd be wise to kind of keep him on that right side. Help ease. You're already asking him to make a transition and acclimate. Don't do the Miami, the Jonah kid, move him, have him move sides as well. I think he's a right guard. I think he's going to be a good one. Listen, with guard being a non-premium position, you find starting guards in the 3rd round all the time. I think this kid is definitely one of them. I think he's a starting right guard. And if Miami, if they don't want to take one at 11, because I'm shocked we haven't talked about the other option at number 11 that I think is very much.
Oh, I'm going to get there because when I first started, it was offensive tackle.
Sure.
But now we're sort of morphing into guys who are tackles to guards.
Right.
But he's next on my thing because he's a pure guard. But yes.
But no, I get it. I get the rundown. And I think Dunker is definitely a guard. I think he's a starting caliber guard. I do think he probably goes in the third round. I think there are a couple interior guys. I think there are a couple guards that could go before him. So he doesn't strike me as one of those guys that's going to sneak into the second round. I know there's been a lot of coverage of him because of the mullet and everything. And I do like him quite a bit, but I do think there are a couple guards who are better prospects than him. Outside the obvious one we're about to talk about, I think there are a couple other day 2 guards I actually like better than Dunker that I think have a better chance at sneaking into day 2.
Yeah, let's sort of morph into some of the guards. Then we can just sort of talk about offensive linemen vaguely. The Penn State kid, Vega Ione. I can't say the whole first name, so I just call him Vega.
Yeah. Vega Ione.
Vega Ione is just
Aone. Sorry, Vega Aone, I believe it is.
A man among boys. Now, I put out a tweet the other day, and most fans agree with me. Some give me a little pushback, saying at pick 11, if whoever Miami is in love with just isn't there, and they just wanted to take a sure thing to help fix the offensive line once and for all, I'm okay if they took him at 11. I know you usually don't take a pure offensive guard that high, but there are exceptions to every rule. I think this kid's the exception. The pushback I got, which I want to get your thoughts on, does he fit sort of a zone blocking scheme system? My take is he's so good he'll fit any system, and I'll change the system for him, honestly.
I get the question because I do think he's probably a slightly better fit in like the power downhill gap stuff. But I agree. Like, I think he's so freaking good that I wouldn't overly worry about it. I think he could probably do anything, and I don't think teams will have that concern about him. So whatever it is, that can he block? Yes, right. I think it's kind of that simple with him. Now, you could tell by my background that I'm a Tennessee Titans guy.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, they were in the early portion of their rebuild. They had just like the Dolphins, they had the 11th pick in the draft, just like the Dolphins, and they took a guard. They took Peter Skoronski, a guy who was a college tackle, and some Titans fans still have the debate to this day, which does surprise me a little bit, because look, they're still rebuilding. They're not a very good football team. It's not going to complete your rebuild. And to be fair, when I said they actually took them when they should have been rebuilding, but they weren't, because they hadn't fully committed to it. They were in this state of, we think we can still reset this thing and compete. So to be fair, let's not blame the rebuild on a guard, but they took him at number 11. Fast forward today, he's one of only 2 players on the team that is worth signing to a contract extension, like in terms of the recent draft picks. He's really, really good. And they're about to give him a 4-year, $90 million contract. Like, he's about to get $22 million a year.
Safe player, yeah.
Safe player. Like, I think John Eric Sullivan, like, when you're in Miami, you can't get any earlier in the rebuild than they're in, right? Like, they've torn it down to the studs, right? Like, they've ripped out every room in the house.
It's an expansion team. I view it as an expansion team, and you're trying to get as many good players right now as possible. So in round 1,
that's one hell of a comparison. You just called them the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we got to fill up this roster one way or another. I know edge and corner and the 5 key premium spots are kind of where you want to go if you can. But if there isn't someone there that you love in one of those 5 key spots, taking a kid like this, well, again, we don't have to worry about one spot on the offensive line for the next however many years. He's just going to be fine. And I'm okay with it right now. We got 6 other picks in the top 94. We'll be fine.
I could see John Eric Sullivan doing it. And I know fans, it might disappoint, but and I think it's funny, like when the Titans took Peter Skoronski, the same comparison I just gave you, it was a first-year GM. And I was told then from a Titans source, said to me, he goes, when you're a first-year GM and you're just starting to get judged you don't want to miss on that first one, man.
Don't whiff. Don't strike
Don't
out.
whiff on the because man, you know how we're ready to have the Arizona guard move zip codes already, right? Like
exactly.
You see how fan bases react to the GM.
Yeah.
Don't miss on the first one because the first one you're going to get judged on. You rather go safe, reliable, boring than miss. So, and I was told that wasn't specific to a Titans GM thing. And
that's all GMs, yeah.
That's just all GMs. When you get hired, you don't want to miss. And I love you made me chuckle with it's an expansion team. I was going to say they're ripping every room out in the house, right? Like the studs are here. We're keeping the 2x4s up, but we don't. But
Justin, there's chatter between now and the first part of the draft. They're going to trade Jordan Brooks at linebacker. There was a report from the Cowboys, one of their beat reporters, that they're contemplating making an offer. There's no sure thing that Achane will be here because they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. His value is never going to be higher. So, they're not done between now and the draft, but maybe getting more picks in the top 100. They're at 7. When we get to April 23rd, 24th, 25th, they might have 10 or 11 in the top 100.
I'm not at expansion team yet for them. If they trade the running back, I'll agree. Yeah, they're expansion team. I'll agree. As of now, I think they're, of course, in the earliest stage, possible of an NFL rebuild. And that's why I could see them going safe with him at 11 because he's plug and play, I think, for the next 10 years. And I know there are no sure things in any NFL draft.
He's close. Yeah.
He's just close. I mean, I say that because I'm still scarred from Chance Warmack because I was told, and I'm going way back. I don't know if you remember that one.
I remember the name. Yeah.
I was told he was the safest thing in the NFL draft. He was the worst player on the team that year, and they cut him after 2-3. I'm still scarred from Chance Warmack, but I think the Penn State kid is as close as it gets to safe and plug and play. I've been mocking it at 11
I know.
for them because I
love him. Look, if Caleb Downs is there, take Caleb Downs. If the kid from Miami falls, take him. Reuben Bain, take him. But, if those guys are all gone, and to me, it's a deep secondary draft. And with all the picks we got,
it is.
I don't need to reach on McCoy or someone like that with an ACL injury. Give me this kid instead because in round 2 and 3, where we are just flooded with picks, even a pick 30, we can get one. Then you can find a corner there. I'm not reaching on a corner when I can have this kid now. Yeah,
I love the cluster of corners that are going to go around 30th overall. There's a ton. There's 5 of them. So you can get one at 30 if that's what you want.
30, 43, or 75, 87, 90, or 94. We got picks. We can take 2. We'll be fine.
You could go Brandon Cece. You can go Chris Johnson. You can go Colton Hood. There's a bunch of them. Jermod McCoy might still be there at 30 because
the kid from Clemson. He's
Avion Terrell. There's a ton of them. I like
so that's my logic.
Davis, by the way, Tacario Davis is a big Green Bay guy in terms of the measurables. So if this new regime adopts the same sort of what they want in a corner, like big, tall, long,
size, length,
then Tacario Davis is a guy. There's going to be a ton of corners for Miami at 30 or in the second round.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about them next week. Maybe we'll hit the secondary next week as we switch over to defense. And also, spoiler, talking about the whole expansion team thing. I love the signing of Willis. I do. I think it's because for what they paid for him, short-term deal.
Sure.
Spoiler, when we're here 365 days from now next year, we're going to spend a lot of time on the quarterbacks. Moore, Arch, Sellers, and all those. We're going to spend a lot because I know they're taking one in round 1 then. I know they are because that's just what they do. Texas A&M, Chase Basantis? I think how you say it. Is he a late round 1, first part of round 2? You think he could fall to 43, or is he probably be gone by 43?
I think he's an early round 2 guy. So anytime I say early round 2, I think 43 is early enough where I could see the path to him being there. I really like him. I think he might be the best, second best pure guard in the class. If you don't count the Fanos and Maigoas, like the Miami kid and the Utah kid, if you don't count them, best pure guard after obviously the Penn State kid we just discussed, I think it's this kid. I think Chase Basantis is the second best guard in the class. High level understanding of leverage and blocking angles and concepts. I really, really like him. I'm not confident, guard, non-premium. I don't think it's back end of first round, but I think there's a good not a good chance. I feel I could almost guarantee he's going in the second round, and I think it's the early portion. Yeah, like the first 10, 15 picks,
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if he's not off the board.
Georgia Tech, Keelan Rutledge. I like him a lot too. Yeah.
I get a little hot and bothered when we talk about Keelan Rutledge because he's one of my favorite players in this class. I write an article every year. Who are my stand on the table guys?
Yeah.
He might be my number one. I know that might sound crazy.
No, he's good. Yeah.
When I do the stand on the table, guys, I try to shy away. Like,
you're not going to do Fernando Mendoza. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I try to kind of go with the guys that are not going to make, not going to go in the first round for sure. Might not even go in the second round. Although now I think everyone's starting to catch up to him. So, I could see it in the later second round for him. Third, I mean, this guy, I was early on him. I had the benefit. I got a great relationship with his agency. So I did an interview with him in January. I'll be honest. But I don't let that cloud my judgment of a prospect. I fell in love with the person. I mean, everyone's favorite buzzwords at guard, you throw them out there: tough, physical, mean, nasty. Every sentence you've ever read: blocks through the whistle, finisher mentality, pancakes, whatever word you want to use. He's a freak, man. I'm infatuated. I've used that word. I'm infatuated with him as a player on tape, the personality, the approach. I'll be stunned if a team doesn't take this kid and doesn't get great value in terms of he's a starter. I love him in the locker room, culture, hold guys accountable, tough, nasty. I could do a whole podcast on Keelan.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I think he's, again, kind of like, although he's not going to go as high as him, Blake Miller from Clemson. Just safe,
yes,
kind of a sure thing. Pencil him in. You ain't got to worry about him. Cut from the same cloth. Two more questions, and I'll let you go. Any centers this year jump off the page at you? For Miami, they got two, really. They got one who is very good from the Titans, Aaron Brewer. And then they got a guy behind him who's actually not too bad either. So I don't think center's a big deal for Miami. But are there any guys you like this year at center?
Yeah, I'll run through rapid fire because I don't think the Dolphins are going to spend a lot of time there, like you said. But I actually do like this center class quite a bit. And I think there's going to be a lot of value in like the 3rd to 5th round at center. Logan Jones from Iowa is a freak athlete. I mean, I think he ran a 4.90 at the combine. I think it was one of the might have been the fastest time among all linemen, if my memory is serving me correctly. Zone blocking scheme because he's, undersized athlete a little bit, like not a power guy, not a size guy, but athletic. There's actually a lot of those types in this center class, is like the undersized athletes. I really like Sam Heck from Kansas State. I don't think he's getting enough buzz. Jake Slaughter from Florida is the Blake Miller of the center class, like 3 to 4 year starter in the SEC. And like, I'm going through the Jake Slaughter tape and I'm like,
yeah,
good rep. Like, you watch my Florida this past year and I'm like, you kind of struggle to find the bad reps. Like, you see him, he's got the glasses on at the combine. Like, he looks kind of nerdy. He is the NFL version of an accountant playing center. Like, he just goes to work with his briefcase and he knocks it out of the park, though, every single day. Like, he's just so good. I won't be surprised if he starts year 1 for a team. Jake Slaughter. Connor Lew out of Auburn was my top ranked center in like October, and then he tore his ACL towards the back half of the year. If you're comfortable redshirting him, I think a team's going to get really good value out of Connor Lew. I can go on and on. Like, Jaeger Burton is a guard, but I really like Jaeger Burton out of Kentucky. He's one of my favorite mid to late round guards in this class. And then one guy who people aren't talking about enough, because I don't know that they realize that he's going to play center, is Trey, and the name, it should be simple, Trey Zune, I think it is. It's Zuhn the third. Trey Zune the third, 4-year starter at tackle at Texas A&M. I'm cheating. He essentially told me that he's kicking to center. So that's how NFL teams see him. And he's higher on NFL draft boards than a lot of the general public realizes. If you don't have to trust me. You might not know me. I kind of fly under the radar here. Dane Brugler, one of my favorites too.
I know Dane.
He had him 98th overall on his top 100, and he knows it for a reason. And I've heard the same stuff. People like Trey Zune. He's going to be one of the first centers drafted. The draft might list him as tackle accidentally, but he's going to, even when he gets drafted, I could see the network putting him up at tackle accidentally. He's going to play center, and he's a good one.
Okay, last question. With any offensive line spot, tackle, guard, center, some sleepers who you think are just flying under the radar, like him, like you just mentioned, but guys who are flying under the radar who you think, you know what, this guy's pretty good, and I don't think he's getting enough rubber attention.
Well, one you didn't ask me about that I really like is Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard out of Oregon.
Yep.
I've got a second-round grade on him. I know it doesn't address the sleeper question, but I just did not want this episode to end without mentioning him. Especially because the Dolphins, they could take one there. Like, I'll tell you what.
Someone in our chat just put his name up, actually. I like Rutledge and Pregnon. Yeah.
That's funny. I think he's the third best guard in this class for me. Third or fourth. Of course, Penn State. Then I go Chase Besantis, I go number 2. And then for me, it's a toss-up at 3 between Rutledge and this kid. I'll say this, and it's a compliment of the highest regard. And I'm not saying they're similar prospects, because I don't think they are. I think the Penn State kid's a lot better. But I do think when you watch the tape this past year, the Oregon kid's tape is not far off, man. He was so, Oregon were so good.
Yeah.
He was so good this past year at guard on tape. Plug and play. I love him. I was mocking him in the first round a couple of months ago. I've kind of cooled off on that because it's, but I could still see it. I could still see it, but I think it's more of the second round. For me, he's in that same bucket as Chase Besantis, who we talked about a couple minutes ago. And I love Keelan Rutledge so much that I say it's a toss-up between the two of them. I think Pregnon probably gets drafted first. I'm a big fan. In terms of other sleepers, I guess you took it out of my I started giving some names prematurely because I think Yeager Burton out of Kentucky is really, really good. I think Parker Brailsford, the center out of Alabama, is one that's pretty decent later on. We talked about the Clemson tackle. I think the other one is not bad either in Tristan Lay. There's a tackle out of Memphis I keep reporting every day. He's got so much interest. Like, he's got like 10 top 30 visits. He is late day 3, and he might be a guard convert, but his name is Travis Burke out of Memphis. He's got a ton of NFL interest.
I got one name for you because I think Hafley coached him at BC, which when he gets his way around.
Okay, the
Judd Bowery,
Taylor, right?
or
Logan Taylor.
Jude Bowery. Well, yeah, there's him, and then there's also the other kid at offensive tackle, Jude Bowery.
Oh yeah, okay. I like the guard better, Taylor.
Okay.
Well, I thought you were going to go with Logan Taylor. I got
there's a couple,
Yeah, I got day 3 grades on both of those guys.
Yeah.
But that's a good shout because you can totally see him going to one of those kids. I had an NFL scout turn me on to Taylor like, I don't know, 14 months ago, I think it is now. Like before this past college football season. So Taylor's one of those day 3 sleepers that I also like quite a bit.
Yeah, because it ties there with Hafley. You never know. I mean, again, when you're in round, 5 or 7 from Miami, because they don't have a pick in round 6 as of now. I could see him taking a flyer on the kid. Hafley goes, I know the kid. He's a good kid. He's got traits. So late. That's when you see stuff like that kind of happen in the draft. All right, we covered a lot today on the offensive line and tight ends. Like I said, next week maybe we'll do the secondary because there's a lot there too. And then we'll round out the week after with the front 7 guys. Justin Melo, catch him at SI, NFL Draft on SI. Follow him on Twitter at JustinM_NFL. Justin, thank you for joining me so early. We'll be back next weekend, probably next Sunday again. I'm not sure what time yet, but we'll be here next. Yeah.
3 final names because I'm a
go
sicko.
For it. Go for it.
I really like the center, Brian Parker out of Duke. I feel silly that I forgot him in the sleeper question. Big fan. Swing tackle. He strikes me as a Green Bay Packer, the next name. So keep that in mind. Of course, the Dolphins. Austin Barber out of Florida. NFL teams believe he could play both left and right tackle, and I see him as a swing guy. And one who I really like the traits, but is a little, rough around the edges, is Demetrius Crownover, the other tackle that was at Texas A&M this past year. I like the three of those guys quite a bit as well.
I got one more name because I just won that, just because we went over so many. Jalen Farmer. What are your thoughts on him?
It's funny. I was about to throw him in that group. I liked both of those guys.
Yeah.
Kentucky this past year, right? If I recall, I like both of those guys that were at Kentucky. Him and the one that I meant, Yeager Burton, who I mentioned earlier. I think both of those guys should be off the board by pick 130, if I had to guess.
So, long story short here for the Dolphins, where they don't have look, they got Paul, they got Aaron Brewer, who I think they're about to extend, and I don't think he's getting traded. I think he's one of the safe ones. And, this year, Jonah, hope to see a little bit of improvement. Austin Jackson, hopefully he can just stay healthy, because if he's healthy, he's actually pretty good.
Good player.
They don't need a ton there, but they need something there. So I think offensive line, it's a good year. If you need offensive linemen, both at tackle and guard, a lot of depth there for Miami. Much like in the secondary, they need a lot of help. Good year, which we'll talk about next week there. Even wide receiver, now they need help there. So this draft might not be a top-level draft, as some people say, but for what Miami needs, secondary, offensive line, wide receiver, I think this is a fantastic draft, which is why John Eric Sullivan is trying to keep adding as many top 100 picks as he can, because he knows this is probably a good draft to fill, hopefully, and no one's going to hit 100%. But 7 to the top 100, if he hits on 5, that's damn good. You can probably fill 5 needs in the short term and long term for this team moving forward. A good first step. So this draft really for Miami and their needs, or big needs, really kind of plays out well.
Fully agreed. And listen, the rule of thumb, 3 starters or contributors, from every draft class.
The draft, yeah.
If they end up getting 5, for example, that is what I would call a foundational class. You go into the following year and say, we've got a bunch of pieces. Now we feel we're a few more away. We had maybe the quarterback, like you said, but we like the environment that's already here because we got an instant starter at guard. We've got a wide receiver that's going to contribute and be a weapon. We've got a corner or an edge rusher, whatever it is. I do think the Dolphins could start filling a lot of those needs this year.
And I don't know if you've ever seen these clips. They're short, so I'm going to play them. Why our last general manager was so freaking bad and why he got fired in 2023 and 2024. Our offensive line has been not great for years. This is what he said to the media and the fans. This is 2023.
Well, I think you guys are probably more worried than we are, in terms of, at the position depth at those spots you talked about. But
he was talking about the offensive line there. And then he doubled down the next year with this.
We're confident in the offensive line. So again, it's just one of those. It's Mike and I we always kind of chuckle. I know you guys made a joke about me saying that you guys are more worried about it than we are. But internally, that's how we feel about our group here as a team.
Yeah, who's laughing now? You're unemployed. All right. That was the arrogance of this guy. And it's like, dude, you're writing your own tombstone, because the day you get fired, everyone's going to say you're more worried about than we are. And we all knew it was coming, and it came. So I think the offensive line will be a point of attention for this new regime, as they can't be as bad as that guy. Everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.